Hello, and welcome to the Delicious Recipe here on UPRN. If you want to watch along, you can check us out on YouTube. It's UFO Extraterrestrials and Gods and UFO Paranormal Radio. UFO Paranormal Radio, it's done twice. And then any other UPRN station or United Public Radio station that's on all the many platforms that are out there. And tonight we're back in here with Tom Reilly and Lorilei. Will give them a second here, and then this is part 3 of we're going through the DaVinci Code and other hidden stuff that's out there. And I just want to welcome you all. Say hi, Lorilei.
Hi, Lorilei.
Hi, Lorilei. There you go.
I'm from the Angel Rock on Monday nights. We are all three of us are doing this series with Tom because there is so much to talk about it, right, Tom?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, we're all amateurs in the field, so we're sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and Tom Reilly. Hi, Tom Reilly.
Hi, everybody. I'm in Ireland at the moment. By the way, can I digress very on a very interesting tangent, Del, just for a quick second?
You bet.
Thank you. Today, you come to us today on a day when the whole country is totally agog at a UFO. There has been there has been 1,000 reports of sightings. There have been films taken on phone of an object that screamed through the sky last night. It was visible for about 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And different colors and different interpretations. And it was also visible in Britain. It was visible in Ireland. And today, and trust me, if you Google this, you'll see the images. I forgot to mention this earlier.
I think the ETs are coming for the Queen's funeral.
That's what I was just going to say. They're coming for the Queen because the Queen left Scotland to go back home to Westminster Abbey for the funeral. So,
yeah. Well, just you'll see this image, and a lot of people are scared of it. They're saying, of course, it could be space debris or a meteorite or something. But anyway, I thought that was just an interesting.
I'm glad you brought that up because I got to go check that out. I haven't been online at all. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's sort of interesting there because they always said that the royal family, blue bloods, and that she was probably a lizard, and that the lizard aliens and stuff like that. And so maybe they came
David
to
Icke,
maybe they came to collect her. Repurpose her body again.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a possibility. Sorry, I digressed.
Well, that's sort of funny in a way
cool.
there too is because they're talking about now is with this Agenda 2030 stuff. They're about giving people eating bugs and stuff like that, right, and getting rid of meat. And what do lizards eat? They eat bugs, right? So this goes into a fun part of a different part of conspiracy.
Or Men in Black. One of the aliens was made up of bugs. So there you go.
That was the movie. Yeah, the movie Men in Black. With Will Smith after he before he slapped Chris Rock.
Slap around the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, just thought you'd be interested to know that's happened.
That's cool. I'm gonna check that out.
This is anyways. The name of this episode is T for 3, and this is part 3, and we're back in here. So Tom, hit her off.
Okay, so we spoke about various aspects of this whole DaVinci Code, the real DaVinci Code, not the movie or the book. But the meanings behind various coded messages that are, in fact, we didn't even mention Da Vinci himself because he is allegedly one of the grand masters of the Priory of Sion, who, in all accounts, I'm just going to look down because this is potentially the most explosive secret of all time. That's actually what we're discussing here. And it's to do with Christianity and what they've told us and what they haven't told us, and maybe stuff that's out there that's, an alternative interpretation of the whole Christianity story, and whether or not, Jesus and Mary Magdalene had children and the bloodline came down through the Merovingian kings and ended up being real and being there might be somebody walking around today who has Jesus's blood.
Okay, now with the Priory of Sion there, anyways, is that the way it was interpreted in the movie was that they were a secret, I guess, assassination or whatever, or their secret
keepers of the secret.
Right, but they were also like
protectors of the bloodline.
Correct. That too. But the thing was that they were an arm of the Catholic Church that would go in. So if anybody got too close to the secret, they were like the assassination corps that to go out. Anyways, that's what they did in the movie. But there's part of it there because they mentioned different secret sects of religions that are these protectors, and it will do anything to protect the secret. Yeah,
I was just going to add one thing with the secret. I wasn't looking for this. This came up last week. I should have sent it to you, Tom. I think I sent it to Dell, or we talked about it at least, that they went through all the ages right back to before Constantine, and they marked when all of like the Virgin Mary story started, apparently, when priests they decided that priests had to be celibate. They went through the whole religious order of exactly what period of time, like what year it was, and it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I think the Council of Nicaea was in the 4th century.
That's where it came from. From, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's whatever 300 and odd years after Jesus has died, and it's Constantine's attempt to just have one religion and one Christianity and one. So and if you weren't in, effectively you were killed. That's just the way they did things.
That was the whole thing about the saying is Rome never fell, right? Rome just became the Catholic Church.
That's right.
And it's an arm in arm in every single nation, and there was a whole thing to go and spiderweb its way out around the world to go and be arm in arm with any type of monarchy or government that's around there. And you can see that even today where the Catholic Church is involved. Even in the UN, they have the seat that is part of the Vatican, because the Vatican is not Vatican City is not a country; it's an independent on its own. But in the UN, the 189 seats, the holy, I think it's the Holy Seat or the Holy Set or whatever. That's from the Vatican. They actually have a vote. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I think when you take. Again, it's all to do with conspiracy theories and alternative histories. And, I think a lot of people no longer kind of accept that everything that we've been told is correct. And, you have I think we may have mentioned before, there are Gospels, there are Gnostic Gospels that didn't end up in the Bible. And this all goes back to, as you guys mentioned, the Council of Nicaea, where they decided what would go in. And maybe what would be left out, and I think in 1945 they discovered the Nag Hammadi scrolls, and they were the Gospels of, I think, Philip and Thomas and Mary, and they didn't make it in, but they were real interpretations of Jesus's time on earth, and they suggest. Which kind of supports what we're doing here in a way. I think the implication is that Jesus was married, and if you remember, even from your Christian lessons, if you went through any of those, like Mary Magdalene was at the foot of the crucifix when Jesus was being crucified, and potentially, why would she be there? And I think she was made a prostitute in, I think, the 4th or 5th century. So that was just to kind of, one of the popes decided that's what they were going to do. So anyway, potentially she could have been Jesus's wife, and they ended up, at least he, may have been, may have risen again. Who knows? After 3 days, I don't know if that's possible. But the whole idea is that Mary Magdalene eventually, through going maybe around by Egypt, coming back to the south of France and living out her life there. This
goes into a really interesting point there. Everything that you said there is really interesting, because there is a lot of difference of points of view and how things because in Ethiopia they believe that there's the Ark of the Covenant is buried below this little church that's out there in Ethiopia, but they keep they have all the books of Enoch, they call them non-canonical texts, right? And they're added into their Bible. And like this is like Enoch, the Book of Giants, and then there's Jubilees. There's 9 books, anyways, that are all involved with a different part of stories that are involved that sort of give a counterbalance to the part that the Roman Catholic Church wanted to go and put on. Even though this is a Roman Catholic Church, but they've added these non-canonical texts into there. And then you get into this whole part there with Mary Magdalene, and then you get that with the Merovingians and everybody else. That there's so many other characters that are involved through history. It's because it's all about control. And there's a whole different story about this 3,000-pound stone that was blocking the area where after his body laid on the cross for 3 days, and it was in there, and then an angel of the Lord shows up there and just moves this rock over to the side, and I think it's Thomas and I can't remember. I think it was Thomas and something else, and then angel says, "Yeah, no, he's gone up to heaven. He's been removed." This gets into this whole alien thing because there are angels. Angels really here, earthbound people, or are they alien? Right? That's you can sort of work that both ways there, right? It goes in with Elijah and stuff like that, going up there in a fiery chariot, and was it Elijah? No, I can't remember. Anyways, but there's Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, no, it's just I just find this really interesting because there's a lot of really sort of things that you can see in the Bible that was written, and there's been a lot of manipulation in there, that's for sure, in the stories. And don't get me wrong, people that are listening out there. I think the Bible is great. I think religion is great, and if that's what you need to get you through the day, great. And there's a lot of great. There's a lot of sort of hidden meanings in there too, as well. And that if you would look at that, it'd be like when you have a serpent and a dragon and a fiery chariot that flies through the sky and stuff like that. Well, don't you meaning like sort of J.R. Tolkien sort of stuff? Like it's like.
That's true. Yeah. Well, sorry, Lorilei, you go ahead.
No, all I was going to say, I forget who I was talking to or what I came across. Oh, I know what it was. I'm pretty sure it was, I did a show on giants 2 weeks ago. It was on my own. I had people asking about it. And I actually came across all these interpretations actually of what the real meaning of all these animals mentioned, especially in Revelations and stuff. So I have to agree. When I first met Del many years ago, I've known him my whole life, but when we started hanging out as friends, I had said to him, this is years ago, that the Bible, although I think, everything's energy and a lot of people have a lot of good positive thoughts and love and what have you by the Bible, right? But I had said that that's not the full Bible. There's so many more Bible versions of the Bible out there. And I remember in the beginning, this is long before Del's done any of the stuff that he's done. I remember him saying, "You hate the Bible." I said, "I don't hate the Bible. It's just like I said, it's man-made. It's Council of Nicaea. There we go. They got to decide.
That's right. Yeah.
What goes in there and what doesn't. Right.
And one of the things that went in there is that if your wife commits adultery, you are perfectly legitimately entitled to stone her to death.
Yeah. They still do that in parts of the world. They still do that.
They do that in the Middle East.
East?
And parts of Africa there too as well. Like they still do mutilations, and this is the part that this is why it's so interesting. I was blessed by having my mom and dad that took us, me and my brothers, on travels to different places in the world. I didn't go to Africa and stuff like that. My mom's been to Africa, West Indies and Mexico and down there, and she would go and take us off the tour, and we go into the area where the people were and go into places, and you got to actually sort of see the real thing, not the part that the tourists got to see. And we did that, especially when I went to Cuba. That was really interesting. Like me and my brother, we got on some mopeds and we went out of the hotel district area, and we were just traveling on there. I just remember the guy says, "You went down that way? That's not safe for you guys." I was like, "Yeah, but you got to see things like was different."
Off the beaten track.
Right, and then I think that's important for people to do, and I really find this. I've mentioned this to Lorilei many times. There is that people that don't leave their backyard or don't leave their little town and never gone
Yeah,
out there, and they go
yeah.
and give information on stuff and how the rest of the people should live. Don't listen to those people until you've gone
No.
down the road, right?
Yeah,
That's where you find out things. And that like even when I was a prospector, I would go and talk to people. My boss got me into doing this. Big
yeah,
Jim, who shows up on here, is talking to people in areas about what's the stories of this area, and
yeah.
you find out so many interesting things.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I love that. That's the part of the whole reason why I started this show there, the delicious recipe, is just to find things and just throw it all in the pot. And it's like
Well, yeah, yeah. When you talk about that sort of angle on stuff as well. I mean, I've come on originally to talk about a book that I've written, which we won't talk about today. But one of the
I
reasons
thought you were going to bring them up. I'll throw them in there all over
no,
Cromwell.
no, it's fine. But one of the main reasons I brought this up is because that's what I did, Del. I went to the south of France on numerous occasions, and I went off the beaten track, and I looked underneath all the rocks, and I talked to people who weren't necessarily in the main tourist areas, and you discover all this whole wealth of information,
yeah.
and that's how you just develop it. Sorry.
Go ahead, Tom. All I was going to say though is, okay, so this has been around for a while, obviously, this story. And then it got very popular when the books came out by Dan Brown. But then, like you said yourself, you were very much into it. And again, we'll remind people we're not experts. We're talking about what we're finding through research and by having discussions with various people and what have you. You've been to some of these places we're talking about, Lucky Guy.
Well, no,
but I'm not done. I'm not done. I just wanted to
stop saying we're not experts. We are expert researchers or virulent.
I'm bringing this up because Tom wanted to make that clear. He feels more comfortable with people recognizing that we're not, we wouldn't call ourselves experts, but we are doing the research, and we're not just talking off our head. We have done the research. Now I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Oh, the DaVinci Code. Okay, yeah. So the thing is, right, like you said, you were really into this 10 plus years ago around that time period. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting, and I'm going to put it out there, conspiracy theory, all the stuff that you had and the information is now gone. It's disappeared. We can't find it. So to me, there has to be some sort of truth to it.
Yeah,
there has to be.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that really strikes home is that, when we went to find this documentary called Bloodline, which goes through blow by blow what the whole Rennes Chateau thing is about. And, you realize that even in that, there's kind of shady things that go on where they're meeting at night because there are people following them, and is there somebody really targeting them? And then the thing disappears from the internet virtually.
Yeah.
And the guy's website, his name is Ben Hammett. It's well known. It's out there. His
anagram, right, of his real.
Yes, the Tomb Man. That's correct. Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And his very detailed website, where he had a vast amount of information about all of this, is gone. He now is, portrayed online as an author, and his life as the Tomb Man is over. But during that time, he discovered a lot of things because he got under the, we talked about the parchments that were found and the messages that were in the parchments. Mm-hmm. And the link to the Priory of Sion, who are effectively the keepers of the secret, and there have been fairly significant luminaries throughout the years who have been the Grand Masters of the Priory of Sion, including Leonardo da Vinci, Victor Hugo, and Claude Debussy, and Isaac Newton. There are these are alleged to be Grand Masters, and all through the years, right up until the 1990s, when the last known Grandmaster, Pierre Plantard, died. He died, I think, in the year 2000. But that's an area that I'd like to discuss, if that's okay with you guys. I don't know what you've done.
Yeah, because I want to know what happened after him. If you've got anything you've come across, Tom, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, though, okay, this is the part there. Okay, so for people that are listening out there, this is a secret sort of society that is supposed to be holding a secret, and the secret that we do not know, but people speculate it might be whatever the secret is going to be, and it's held there. We know who the new uh, grandmaster is right now? Since
No, I think in the movie, I would just talk about Pierre Plantard just for a quick second, if that's okay,
yeah,
just to bring us right up to date, because we've gone through the historic characters who were allegedly grandmasters. But when Pierre Plantard became, came into the public domain, this was all to do with the Rennes Chateau documents, and it was all to do with the books that were written and the accursed treasure of Rennes Chateau, that particular book, and the documents that came. So when those documents were investigated and they were found to be in the National Library in Paris, the deposit date for those documents was 1956.
mm-hmm.
Now, they're purported to be a lot older than that. So there straight away there's doubt over the authenticity of how old are these documents, because they're supposed to have been at least medieval, and there are lots of messages in them, and that they're very, very there are angles, and we have had this conversation before, but they're intriguing. They're not just documents with letters, they're documents with messages, and very significant, very cleverly put together documents.
Okay, no. Why would a part there? Because we mentioned this in the last episode or the last show in there about why France. Well, you had Germany with Hitler, you had Mussolini in Italy, and France that also was buddied up to all them. But why would people like Templars and Opus Dei and all these people go to France? Was it, and because you have that whole water into wine thing, and then you have France is a big, huge wine thing, and why France? Was there a significance to why that area was so important that everybody would sort of go there?
Yeah, well, there's a few levels of answers to that question, Dale, and I think we've mentioned before that Pontius Pilate ended up in the south of France. That's fairly well documented, and the same guy who sentenced Jesus to death. But there was also a Jewish community, or Judea, community in the south of France at that time. So, and it was okay. The Mediterranean is linked with the Holy Land, so it was easy enough for them to traverse the ocean and to end up in the south of France. The climate down there is kind of similar, but also there are significant. The Templars did build castles in the south of France. We know that for sure. And when you talk about the Inquisitions and the Crusades, sure, there were crusades to the Holy Land, but there were also crusades to the south of France, which happened around the 13th century, when Pope Innocent III ordered his crusaders to go down, and it was basically a land grab to take all the land from the Cathars. So there's good reasons, and just as well as that, there are also there's a legacy maybe of hidden geometry in the landscape that reflects the sky and planets and stuff. So there's a lot of levels as to why it would be France. So that's it has intrigued historians for years, and the best thing you can do is go, because when you go there, you'll just be blown away with the whole place and everything.
Right.
Yeah, so that the whole idea of Plantard being a charlatan is also out there, and that's significant because before he died, he confessed, much like Ben Hammett also confessed that his documentary was a hoax. Pierre Plantard confessed that the documents were a hoax, the documents that Salier allegedly found, and that everything that he had said about the Priory of Sion, him being Grand Master included, was not true. And again, that just leaves it more intriguing. Really,
yeah, but that could make sense, right? Because so we got Ben Hammett, who's still alive as it sounds right now.
Yes.
Okay, but this gentleman Plantard is on his deathbed. He has
Yeah.
nothing to gain by not speaking the truth. Right now, working with many people in the terminal stages of illness, most people have a come to Jesus moment where if they've got something on their chest or a secret they've carried their whole lives, they're going to confess it. So you see what I mean? So it almost holds more water for me that what Plantar was talking about, he was a fake. I could see that, but
I could also see the part that he was so dedicated to it all that he was trying to throw people off the scent.
True. I never thought of that. I never thought that's really
so
smart.
true.
Really smart.
There is, yeah. And
wow,
again,
Del. Wow. I never thought of that.
You married a very clever individual.
Yeah. People always confess the truth on their deathbed, and he's like,
a lot of people do.
Off the scent.
Exactly.
No, a lot of people do. I can tell you from working with people, and I've heard all kinds of things from people that they did in their lifetimes that was a complete secret. Like we're talking some pretty bad things that they probably would have went to jail for. But what are you going to do? They're going to be dead in a couple of days anyway. So what are you going to do? Come arrest them?
Well, again, exactly, yeah. But it's all part of the intrigue of the story.
That makes sense. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I'm excited about that. I never even thought that.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. But the whole notion. So as far as we're aware, I'm certainly aware at the moment there is no public knowledge of who the current Grand Master of the Priory of Sion is. But during the filming of the documentary Bloodline, there was a gentleman by the name of Nick Hayward who could speak for the priory.
Was that the creepy guy? I couldn't remember his name. Del and I were like, oh, this guy's creepy.
We watched it there, and it's like, oh my God. It's like, this is
he is creepy.
Well, he was super confident, and you wouldn't expect somebody kind of that normal maybe to represent the Priory of Sion. They've got to have some sort of quirk, and creepy could be his quirk. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, confident, but throw you off too if you got a good actor, right?
Well, this is the part that I find interesting, and it's sort of been depicted, I guess, in movies like with what's that one there that he deals the one we love there, Lord there with Keanu Reeves or no, where he goes in. No, not Matrix is one, but no, the other
John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
John Wick.
The Assassin's Guild. And they actually sort of touch on parts of this into there with Priory of Sion and stuff like that. And Eastern European, not European, Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern.
Secret cult things, the Murderers Guild or the Assassins Guild.
Okay,
and stuff like that. And they have certain symbols, and they pass gold coins over with certain coins and there's certain rules that you can do. And this is sort of funny is that I was sort of talking about this at work the other day about this. Says, do you understand that there's secret organizations out there that says, oh, that's all just Hollywood?
No.
I go, no, there actually is things
there is
out there.
Well, the Masons for one,
Well, Freemasons they've sort of really been publicized on that, but there is other secret guilds, secret organizations, and there's stuff that's hidden in paintings and pictures. DaVinci was a big one of that. That he hid secret messages in his paintings. And I was watching a documentary just before we went live here, and scholars and artists, I guess, experts in that are going through that, and they're still finding more and more hidden things in Da Vinci's paintings. And even in his writings out of his books and journals, when they're lining up things and they're going, oh, why would he put it like that? Well, because
that's right.
He was sort of done there. This is the whole part. There are people that are out there listening. Part of the Da Vinci Code and part of the whole thing that we're talking about Jesus. We're talking about Da Vinci.
I want to hear what else Tom's got. He's got a bunch of notes there. I know he does.
Yeah, I do have notes.
So continue on there, Tom.
Yeah, so Nick Hayward, anyway, is the guy who was in the Bloodline documentary. I hope he's not going to watch this, Lorilei.
I say that most lovingly.
Yes, of course you do. Yeah. But he didn't suggest that he was a member. He just suggested that he could talk for the organization. So, with the 21st century being as it is, I have absolutely no doubt that there's an organization out there called the Priory of Sion. I don't
agree.
know if it's whether it's that we fully understand or we can apply what we know about the past that we've spoken about earlier, that we can necessarily apply it to the current version. But that's, and they are also keeping the secret. But as the years go on, it's more difficult, because the whole idea was to it was basically so the bloodline of Jesus would be the legitimate link with Christianity, and that would completely undermine the current model that claims to be the link with Christianity. So that would be popes and the whole legacy of the church. So it is explosive, and it is absolutely massive in terms of its potential. But what does today? What does all of this mean? We're having a conversation about it today. We're almost up to date. I can't really bring you any further because it gets very ambiguous now. It gets very difficult to interpret, because those people who are to the front and center are either dead or are no longer saying what they said before. So when you get too close to maybe the secret or whatever it is, you end up not being interested in talking about it anymore. So I think that's essentially where we are. And I'd love to know where it goes from here, if you know what I mean.
Well, there was a part, and this is what I was sort of taught or learned in when after the resurrection of Jesus Christ, after he was crucified, is that he would return, and then it was sort of put out that it'd be 2,000 years, right? So, and that's where the Book of Revelations comes in, with the whole part of if people are familiar with the Book of Revelations, that's where the beast and the devil, the fake god, comes in, rules the earth, the east, west, north, south, the eagle, the bear, the tiger, the lion, or whatever, comes in there, and that's the part of end of days where humanity sort of gets halted and restart. Don't people out there listening, don't quote me. I'm just remembering things or whatever. I haven't gone through this as much as I did there 25 years ago. But it's the whole part about, you get the Antichrist, the devil comes, there's a reign and stuff like that. But this whole part
Armageddon.
about Armageddon, the end. That's the whole Book of Revelations. Out there, read the Book of Revelations, and it's very cryptic. And it's very DaVinci.
But you know what I
cryptic.
feel? I feel with this, like, okay, so we're looking at the Book of Revelations. We're getting people trying to put the pieces together here, right? If you look at the real meaning of the word apocalypse, though, it means to reveal which was once hidden. Truth is coming out daily about so many things that have been hidden below the surface in every aspect, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in politics, you name it. Okay, it's starting to be revealed. Even just people in their personal lives.
Just even ancient cities like the pyramids and places in. Okay, go ahead there, Lorilei. No, I'm just saying.
All I wanted to add was that I really feel that depending on how deep somebody wants to dig, and that includes a healthy dose of courage, I would believe, because of what you've said, Tom, I have to agree with you that when people get too close, they no longer are interested in speaking with it. I think the clues are there. I really do. Like I always forget his name. Who's the gentleman, the older gentleman in Bloodlines? And he's very involved. He wrote the first book about the DaVinci.
So Henry Lincoln.
Thank you. Because somebody I was talking to that I mentioned before the show, I won't say anything on air about it, but that's what they kept bringing his name up. Read his book. I think if we were really interested, I think the clues are there. It's just, I think for whatever reason, it's been well hidden. Now, there's a lot of talk, and it's just conspiracy theory about, say, what's going on in the Vatican, what's been discovered in the vaults down below, depending on what camp people follow. I'm not saying that it has been done. I don't have enough proof. And I think Dell's made more of a skeptic out of me, which I agree. Not so much a skeptic, and it's not his fault. I appreciate that he's given me that perspective with the fact that we need to stand back and take a look and just watch.
that's it. That's even that thing there. Like you're mentioning all this part about hidden history, and I just remember the part about the message of Fatima, right? That was given, and I'm not sure if you know this one
Oh,
there.
Lady of
That's
Fatima.
The third secret of Fatima, is that what it is? There's first and second, which I can't remember, but I know there's a third one.
But it's so horrible that we can't find out about it. Basically.
But for some reason that the Vatican cannot release this message because whatever it is, and then there was I think it was in the third message there where a whole bunch of people in, I believe it's South America there, they just stood there for like a whole day and watched as this figure was, or ship or something.
It took her a whole day to tell the message.
No. A bunch of people witnessed an object in the sky.
As the Twilight Zone starts playing, and how did this podcast start?
Yes,
I think, sorry, Del, I think that, like, when you take the whole structure of what we're talking about here, and we're talking about, a secret and a history and people who have been very clever and have written books and stuff.
Yeah,
I think essentially what we're saying is that this is all plausible, that there's a possibility. Sure. Yeah. And that despite the fact that sometimes you go down a cul-de-sac and, somebody might say, or you might read, or you might see that, there's no evidence for, maybe the existence of the Priory of Sion. There's no evidence for the bloodline going back through the Merovingian kings and, back to Sarah and James, who were Jesus's children. But it's still, there's enough doubt in all of those cul-de-sacs to leave room for suspicion of the fact that this could actually be true. Of course, again, as the world develops and as religion, starts to take more of a back seat in people's lives with respect to anybody who's listening now, it is a fact, I've mentioned before, that a lot of the European countries, are they're going to be atheists, soon enough, the way things are going. So it's not going to be as dominant as epic or as a huge an issue, maybe as it once was. But that said, we will end up going around in circles if we three keep pushing this. We might start getting letters in the post, or we might start getting people saying, look, you can't talk about that anymore.
Sure, bring it on. Bring it
on. That's how I feel. Bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of stuff online about this, and there are people who go through Saunier's church and all the clues that are in there.
I was just thinking about that. I want to know, there's like right there with that church. Okay, you've got a demon at the front door. Yeah. You've got the Stations of the Cross backwards. And then I forget what I was looking at, certain pieces of the pictures for the Stations of the Cross. There's all kinds of things in there.
But Jesus has been, that's right. Jesus has been carried out of his tomb dead. At night by people, and I think we know that he's supposed to have risen from the dead, and nobody was around, So why would he depict that?
It looks like it's a map there, like it's all there, and then you're going to get somebody brilliant like Lincoln. Wasn't it Lincoln that saw in the document Sion? You're going to get somebody stepping back, thinking not like outside the box, like there is no box, and I think it's meant to be followed counterclockwise instead of the way it's been set up. And I think each station needs to be examined, and I think that's just a starting piece. But I think that it's possible to find out what this is, like, because there's so much there's so much history, there's so much, and I keep really feeling, call it a gut feeling, like this is all intermingled with what we've been going through in the last couple of years globally. I really do.
Absolutely. And sorry, Del, go ahead. Do you want to say something?
No, I was going to say is that it's sort of what Lorilei was just saying there is that how things are intermingled and stuff like that. Until somebody can understand whatever this code is, I think might be a couple of different factions that are involved here, and people are using like adding this code to this one or this symbol, like that little fish sign that's there that Christians
Yeah.
use,
Yes.
and they're putting that with this one that Rosicrucians use. No, it says these don't go together, but sort of it's like you're speaking French, Italian, and English and Portuguese
Yeah.
all at the same time, and you're trying to add these all three together, and it's not making any sense. I think there has to be an entanglement, and
Well, that's correct. There's there's so much involved in this. We spoke before in the previous episodes about the church, the Rennes le Chateau, the priests, the money. Where did that come from? He ended up not having money. Was that because he ran out? Did somebody withdraw his source of finance? There's so much in there. The fact that they have so much detail from from medieval times. Even like there's a village in the south of France, for instance, that because of the Inquisitions, because they took place in what's called the Albigensian Crusade, when they went down and tried to convert them all and kill them instead. Like there's so much detail about that time because the Inquisitions wrote everything down. Like there's a village in the south of France in this area. It's called Montalieu. And in that village, we know so much about how the peasants lived because it's all written down. But all of this is connected, because the suggestion is as well that when the Cathars made their last stand on another mountain called Mont Segur, before they gave themselves up, there was a contingent of them, maybe 2 or 3 guys, who scaled down I don't know if we spoke about this, but they scaled down the other side of the mountain the day before they gave themselves up, and they allegedly had a treasure that could also be part of this whole thing. Whether or not it was the scrolls, whether it was what people understand to be the Holy Grail, whatever it was. Was it a descendant of Dagobert, who was a Merovingian king? Is the Holy Grail the living blood in somebody, or is it a vessel? You have the DaVinci Code. Sorry, I'm rambling now, but you have the DaVinci Code, the V,
sure,
where Jesus is leaning this way and Mary Magdalene is leading that way, and you've got the vessel to symbolize the lady exactly. Maybe the womb, or the fact that the lady is the vessel. What was that? Was it somebody, or was it something? They've never found that thing, and maybe they were looking for the wrong thing all the time. Maybe it's so so as you say, it's so complicated. That's why Lorilei, there are so many people who have written books on all of this, and yet it still isn't really solved.
Mm-hmm.
But are any of these mysteries, when you think about it, like, for example, I have run into so many people who claim to be a Freemason, and you guys are full of it. Nothing really goes on there. But then when you dig deeper, as I understand it, you have to be 33 1/3 degree or higher before you start really getting into a lot of the secrets of Freemasonry, right? But
Okay.
to me, when you look at all of this stuff coming back from centuries ago, all of these societies have symbols. And Del, I'm going to build a little bit off of what you were talking about. Now,
Yeah.
I forget what the name of this thing is. It was brought into the Da Vinci Code. It was like with all the letters that you had to turn, and it was like a
Oh
rock.
yeah,
Do you
I know
remember
the
what that
thing.
was
Yeah, yes,
called?
I
I can't
know.
Yeah,
remember.
that was the Codex.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was like a
Codex.
codex.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
almost what I feel like. I think you hit the nail on the head here, Del, with something that it almost seems like you may have to bring in some of the symbols or overlay them or something. Like I think it's all there. It's just how deep you want to go and how far, but I still think it's interesting to look at all these, like the priority of Sion, like why, really, because some people we did an overlay on. I would love to go a little bit deeper, as long as you're good with that, Tom, in the future, because
Sure.
and look
Yeah.
at some of these, because I think they're really connected. What do you guys think?
Well, no, what's
Well,
going to be interesting is that we got October coming up, which is going to be Halloween month there for the station. So if we can get into the evil parts of this story, that would be good to do for one of
yeah.
those ones there. But I also wanted to put a part there that people was put out Tesla as he was an old kook, but he said the mysteries of the universe are solved by 3, 6, and 9, and that frequency, magnitude, and whatever else it was there. You can look up you can look up the thing there, but 3, 6, and 9, those are things that also that these other religions all go off of. They got the Trinity, which is a 3, right? The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and you have the same thing there with when you go in Eastern Indian cultures and stuff like that. 3, 6, and 9. There's a whole part about that, I find that so interesting. Like you have a pyramid, but everything has 4 sides, but no, it actually has 5, and then it has 9. Because each side.
Well, let's hear what Tom thinks about that. I want to hear what you think, Tom. Like, do you think they all can interconnect, or what's your thought?
No question about that. Yeah, I think everything interconnects, and I think the problem is that it's just, I don't know whether it's deliberately scattered, and it's very hard for anybody who's coming into this to actually link everything and join the dots. That is it particularly that way? So, because you can go down so many different roads on this, but fundamentally, if you keep your train of thought, and I know there are people out there who may even be more tuned into all of this than I am, but I just know that the books that have been written, it's just such a pity that these guys no longer stand over some of the things they said, and that's for even there's a book, I think we mentioned, The Tomb of God. That was another book by other people who came after Lincoln, and they realized, that the south of France was incredibly significant. They did a lot of work, and that the problem is they didn't find the tomb. They identified, I think, Mount Cardew in that area as being where the tomb of Jesus is located. But this is the frustrating part of all this. I said, look, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's right.
That comes into a whole bunch of interesting things. As we're almost going to wrap up here, there is that our Earth is tilted 23.6 degrees off, and they found a huge impact crater in Greenland. And then when you put the Earth back onto its regular axis going up, significant lines show up across the Earth, go in parallel lines, and all these structures that were there, temples and stuff like that, they all line up horizontally. There's so many rabbit holes you can go down through this.
There's too much to be coincidence, Del. That's the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? There's far too much in this for it to be just what's going on.
Right, and then the tombs of giants that they found where the bones are, they come up and go like crosses and stuff like that. Once you straighten the Earth up, that it's not wobbling on its axis. There's so much stuff and so much fun stuff to go through. Tom, I really appreciate being here. You're going to be coming on Lorilei show there, and we're going to do this more
2 hours.
And go on 2 hours worth on Lorilei show. That's on a Monday. Okay, Lorilei, tell them where we can find you.
You guys can find me on Monday nights here on United Public Radio Network from 6 to 8 p.m. Stock Dog Eastern Standard Time. And I'm having Carmen Turner-Schott back on, the astrologist. But interestingly enough, we're going to be talking about symbols and a whole bunch of stuff, Tom, because like I say, I seem to be running into a lot of guests that sort of complement or people that know about this stuff. I'm hoping I'm going to really add this out there quickly with listeners. If you guys have got some interest, maybe you've got some knowledge, maybe you've come across something, we'd love to hear about it. I know I would. So feel free to get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. Feel free to message me if you found a source or a site. I don't want to talk too long. Sorry. Thanks for having me, guys. I love doing this type of stuff, and always a pleasure.
And Tom, we can talk about your book, Oliver Cromwell, which is this is how we got started.
Yeah, and that's all old news. That's fine. I'm brilliant. The book's brilliant.
It's not old news.
I'm brilliant. The book's brilliant. I agree.
It's an awesome read. It's an awesome read.
Thanks, Del. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Where can they find you, Tom? If people
Facebook is the best place to get me. I haven't got to the stage where I need a website yet. I'm still working very hard in my day job, And everybody is. I'm sure you guys are too. But
Mm-hmm.
it's 110 mile an hour with me. So Facebook is the easiest place to get me.
Okay.
Awesome. That's good. And this is the Delicious Recipe. I'm the Del, and I'm on here Thursdays at 7 p.m. And I really appreciate my other half, Lorilei, joining me in there. And you can check out past shows that are on here. And I appreciate Tom Reilly all the way from Ireland.
Yeah,
Canada,
and it's
Canada,
late
Ireland.
over there.
Out of New Orleans. You see how we're doing this?
All around the world.
we're bouncing everywhere. So please check us out and tune back in there next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk to you later.
Bye.